At the start of C Sports Racing last year, pole sitter Hans Peter got jumped by legendary quick starter Jason Miller. But it wouldn't stick as Peter quickly reclaimed the point. And with this inside move, Rennie Clayton slotted into second. But unfortunately, his day would end on lap 5. All the while, Hans Peter began opening a massive lead, while Jason Miller, holding on to second, had mechanical problems with 2 laps to go. And Jacek Muka, starting from the back of the field, made his way past Bill Goldkind for third, then battled past Ken Davis for second. But it was Hans Peter's day, cruising to his second consecutive title, nearly lapping the field in the process. A dominant run for number 66. Sports racing classes have seen massive development and speed increases in recent years, and one of the reasons is the infusion of tunnel technology. Certainly the case in C Sports racing, and the evergreen warrior, 67 years of age, Bill Goldkind, fun-loving and fast, is hoping the Swift Viking will take him up 2 spots on that podium to better his bronze in 2005. But James Rogerson, a fascinating story. Won his division this year, but wrecked his car in the process. His fellow competitors in Houston region put a car together for him to come to the runoffs. The interesting thing is the car has more experience here than he does. It's his first visit. But J.R. Osborne is the man everybody's talking about. At the June sprints, he walked to a massive win in D Sports racing, but defeated all the more powerful C Sports cars. He's betting this lighter weight package might get him gold. And you'll note he brought a pretty intense cheering section along for the ride. Foxen is part wolf, and J.R. is hoping to do some hunting.
Well, Greg, the wolf in this class in recent years has always been the former Atlantic-based chassis, but this year, I think a genuine sports racer can get the job done. Chris Farrell has 3 wins this year. He's an ex-bike racer. He also has 2 shifter kart championships to his name and will definitely be a threat. Another driver campaigning the very popular store chassis is Jean-Luc Liverato. He's won 3 or 4 races entered this year and is fresh off a podium finish in 07 in D Sports Racer. And what can you say about this man, the godfather of the sports racing class, Jim Downing? He'll race his own Georgia Pete chassis, and it is certainly sweet. He's the co-founder of the Hans device, and in his 45th year of racing will be a safe bet for a podium finish.
Racing is all about numbers, and throughout this season, drivers from 113 regions have contested divisional championships in the 9 divisions that make up the Sports Car Club of America, and it has all come down to the 45th running of SCCA's National Championship Runoffs, and today it is C Sports Racing, the gold medal to be determined, a national champion to be crowned. One of 25 classes and champions that will be crowned here at Heartland Park, Topeka, Kansas. In the 3rd year, this wonderful event has been held at this great facility. Joining me in the booth, Calvin Fish. And Calvin, they've got a great track they have to deal with as well.
They certainly do. Heartland Park Topeka has 14 turns, some of them relatively slow on either end of the racetrack, but for these C Sports racing machines, the fast ones are where these cars really excel. The cornering speeds through those sections are simply mind-blowing.
And C Sports Racing has been a class since 1966, actually has its roots in a class called C-Mod from 1954. Tell us about the current combinations.
Well, C Sports races are the fastest of the 4 sports racing classes, purpose-built race cars, very high-tech, full composite bodies, and the cars produce massive downforce.
And they are ready on the pre-grid, and down there as well is John Bizignano.
Well, Mike McGinley, he is in partnership with one of the most famous names in all of motorsports, Rick Hendrick. Of course, you know him from all his NASCAR success. This is a very technical class, and we asked him if he gets any technical help from the big team. He says, sure I do. That's part of the deal of owning a couple dealerships with him. But there is no substitute for having time on the track. He only made 1 practice session all weekend long, and he has qualified 11th. Look for him to make up some time during this event. Now for more, let's go to my pit partner, Justin Bell.
Well, Chris Soliotis in car number 56 actually qualified 10th. Now he is a Champ Car Atlantic driver and he won the Canadian GT Championship. But he's a little bit disappointed because with only 10 laps in the car and about a 100-pound disadvantage in his speed chassis, he's hoping that his advancement towards the front will be a work in progress as the race goes on. Greg?
Thanks very much, gentlemen. And Chris, given that Speeds chassis, which was indeed designed to resemble that legendary Audi R8, just sort of a smaller version of it, and when it came out, it really turned a few heads, certainly. Calvin, this is going to be one of the fastest races that is going to unfold of these 25, and these D-Sports racers, that lightweight power configuration, this should be spectacular in terms of speed, certainly.
Oh, the cornering speeds. Watching these cars during qualifying this week, just you can't believe that they can go through the corners. You think they're going to fly off the racetrack when you sit there and watch them from the side of the track. It's going to be spectacular action.
Yeah, when they suddenly hunker down and turn in, you just kind of breathe a deep sigh of relief. This should be fun. We are at Heartland Park, Topeka, Kansas, and we are about to conduct our 20th National Championship runoff in this 45th running of this great event, C Sports Racing, and the field is out on their pace and parade laps, and there's a lot of different types of chassis in here, but one thing that has evolved over the last couple of years, they have started to allow tunnel technology into the class, Calvin, and it's really been perfected by Lee Storr.
It really has. I mean, the Atlantic-based cars have been around for many years in this category, and then the guy simply placed a body over the top of them, but manufacturers such as Storr have really optimized the package. Look at that little car there. That's going to be a flying machine here today. So it's just incredible, just the amount of downforce that the cars now generate through the corners. I mean, tire technology has improved as well, so the lap times continue to drop.
And the whole concept is the underside of the car with the tunnels is like an inverted airplane wing, so as you build speed, it changes the pressure underneath the car, essentially.
That's exactly right. It's really like turning an airplane upside down. Instead of flying, these guys literally suck the cars to the ground and just gives you tremendous cornering forces. And sometimes it's hard, the G-loads that these cars create through those fast corners. You certainly need to have been in the gym recently and got those neck muscles up to standard, that's for sure.
And maybe the one downside of that is then if there's a problem with the ground effect or you run wide somewhere, you're carrying a lot more speed than that car would be able to carry mechanically, and then things can get interesting.
Yeah, once they sort of like lose that level of grip, then you're along for a ride. Hopefully that won't happen today.
And there's a look at that Speeds chassis. Now that is not a tunnel car, and that's one of the things is some of the cars that were developed that were pre-tunnel technology now are struggling just a little bit in terms of pace. And here comes the field into the carousel. Let's give you a look at the lineup here, and a couple of stories up front, Cal.
Well, the Storr chassis continues to dominate the class. 4 of the top 5 are the Storr chassis, split by that Soul Peach of Jim Downing. And Don Yan is the fastest of the non-tunnel ground effects cars, and he starts 7th today.
The other thing, folks, you want to pay attention to is the 4th starting car, the number 4 of J.R. Osborne. He won the DSR gold medal earlier in this event. And, Calvin, he actually set the fastest time.
Yes, he did, so he should certainly be a man on the move.
Should be fun to watch, should be interesting, certainly. It's going to be a great race, and I think with a little bit more on that story is Justin Bell.
Well, yes, actually, I had a little chat with JR before he put his helmet on, and the reason he got docked 3 positions was going through turn 1 here when they're incredibly busy. The cars are so fast, as you're about to see in the race. He said there was a slower car, there was a yellow flag, and there's no way that my concentration was focused on a waving yellow flag. So he gets moved back, and he said, you know, my mood is I'm actually going to pace myself a bit more, be a bit more conservative as I try and move towards the front. Well, as we've seen, his pace has been outstanding all week, so let's see what his version of sort of conservative is. Over to Biz.
Colin Chapman used to say that weight was the #1 evil of designing a race car. Well, he made his Formula One Lotuses very quick by keeping the weight down. Now, those cars that you're looking at up front there, they are all black because it's their carbon fiber bodywork and the chassis coming through. They are unpainted. Colin Chapman would spend $1 million to get rid of 5 pounds of weight. They save 15 pounds by not painting the car. That would have been worth $3 million to Colin Chapman.
Well, it gives you an idea of just how, as the old adage is, power to weight ratio in racing is everything, and it's just that crucial when you have cars that aren't that powerful.
They look pretty cool too.
Yeah,
I love that carbon fiber look. I wish you could have that on your street car. It's awesome to look at, and these boys are really going to duke it out. Now, J.R. Osborne told Justin Bell he's going to be patient. He certainly wasn't patient at the start of the D-Sports Racer event, which he won here over the course of the weekend. He went straight to the front, went 3 wide going down in the first turn. We'll see what happens here.
And I think that was also a good point about sometimes the closing speeds with some of these cars, or these tunnel cars up front and some of the other cars. Your focus is absolutely 1,000% in trying to negotiate traffic. And we are about to get 18 laps of national championship racing underway in C Sports Racing. Field on the front straight and the green flies. We are underway. Let's see what happens here. There's J.R. Osborne. He decides to try and rest. And
there's your
contact.
patience. There's your patience. 3 wide and knocking into each other before we get to the first corner.
And Chris Farrell finally able to dissuade JR, but he was going to go from 4th to 1st if he could. But Farrell with the green numbers hangs on. Now look at JR. Again, almost contact. Justin, I think conservative has obviously very different meanings for some people. Now Farrell leads in with Osborne second.
Well, the key is with that carbon fiber, not only looks good, it is incredibly strong. The one thing that is susceptible to damage is, of course, the suspension, which is well protected inside those fenders. Here he looks to the inside, thinks better of it. There's no need for JR to be pushing so hard. He's shown incredible pace this weekend, and he just needs to get his way to the front safely. Here we look at the restart. J.R. Osborne to our right as we're looking on screen, and look at funnels down there. There's been issues all week long at the starts of these races.
And the question is now, does he have any damage? The chassis is probably solid. I'm trying to look, Cal, on that right front corner, those little trim tabs that help generate a little downforce. If one of those or two of those got flattened up a little bit, it could affect the handling. They don't look too bad.
No, and this is where he has a big advantage. Looks to the inside there again. I mean, super patience there by JR. He's looking on the inside of every corner. He loses a lot of ground there. But he has the speed here today. He just needs to display that sense of a championship winner, which he's done many times. 2-time D-Sports Racer champion. Look back through the field now.
There's the 76 of Bill Goldkind, 67 years old and still driving and very quick. That is a Swift Viking chassis. That also is a tunnel car. It's one of the cars you talked about, Cal, with the Atlantic Swift chassis underneath it and some specialized body work. But obviously you can see these new stores are something special. This WF1 chassis is so effective, and they run basically, it's a motorcycle engine in the back.
They do, but look at this battle right now. Chris Farrell, he leaves the door open. JR just takes it. Chris Farrell used to be a bike racer for the US team, 2-time 125 shifter kart champion, but I think he may just be watching this guy's gearbox for the rest of this event, because J.R. Osborne has super speed around this racetrack.
Take another look at it right here. And Farrell, he certainly didn't protect, Cal.
No, I'm surprised. I mean, because he realized that JR was quicker through that section of the racetrack on the previous lap, and he just left the door wide open there, and JR took the opportunity to snatch the lead.
Farrell, by the way, got 4th earlier this weekend at this event in the D Sports Racing event. So he just missed a podium medal. He's looking for one here. Meanwhile, J.R. Osborne, you can hear the howl that comes out of these engines as they just stand on it. He's gone through a few engines here this event between these two classes, so they are stressing him right to the edge. But right now, that edge looking pretty good for J.R. Osborne.
When it comes to C-Sport racing, a driver has several different choices as far as the chassis goes. You can actually start out with a Formula Atlantic car like you see in the background there. Go and put full body work on it. This would have a carbon fiber chassis, 1600cc engine, and has to weigh 1,325 pounds. Or you can buy a store Sport Racer, purpose-built Sport Racer. This car spends a lot of time on developing the aerodynamics. It has a tubular chassis, only a 1,000cc engine that develops about 230 horsepower. Its great advantage is the fact that it only weighs 900 pounds. Right now, the purpose-built prototype is the fast way to go.
Well, there's a real good look at the difference between the two different types of tunnel technology that's being utilized. And J.R. Osborne is arguably right now, Cal, the guy who has truly figured it out. He and this team have got this car going so fast.
Well, he absolutely wrings its neck, as you can see there as he exits that last corner over the bumps. He's really just trying to get as much power down to the ground as he possibly can. And on that last lap, he was nearly 3 seconds clear of the rest of this field, so that is certainly dominance.
And there are different engine notes you can run in this. You can run, if it's a motorcycle engine, you can run Suzuki's, you can run Yamahas, you can run Kawasaki's and the like, but you can also run different displacements, and you can run a smaller displacement with a turbo. So that's where you get some of these different engine notes, and it certainly is an interesting act to watch. Here is Jean-Luc Liverato currently running in the 3rd spot. That's the number 8 ball Hoosier tired car, and he was 5th in the DSR race earlier in this event. As we drop back now to the battle, I believe this is for the 8th spot.
It is. Jay Messenger and Chris Suliotis having a good run here. And you can see that these cars not quite the same speed as the front runners. He goes through the carousel there, not generating the same amount of downforce. But it's pretty trick. All these cars look awesome. The aerodynamic tweaks, and everyone has their own idea about what should work within this class.
That's Don Yount, number 28, up front, and that is basically, oh boy, we've got the 04 of Jim Smith down in the pit lane. Problems for the Doc from Alvin, Texas.
Look at this.
Seems like he doesn't have any life there in the engine, maybe trying to work with some switches. Trying to get some life back in the engine, get back out there. If they can fire that up, they'll get him out there. It's a great experience just to be here at the runoffs, and it's a disappointment to be in pit lane, but he'll still try and see the checkered flag today.
Yeah, he was 6 in 07, hoping for a little bit better today. Meanwhile, we go back to this battle with Yount, Messenger, and Soliotis. And the interesting thing here for Messenger,
problem here, I think it's a gearbox issue. I heard the gearbox, something drivetrain, something went amiss as he came through that previous corner. Suddenly there was engine noise and no acceleration forward.
That's a one-off chassis called the Dauntless, and obviously something has gone wrong, as you pointed out. I thought I saw something fly off the back of the car. That may have just been some rubber that had built up, and when he got off the line, it just pitched it out. But a problem for that. So that's one of the things, some of these cars, when you stress them to the level you do and push them to the absolute edge like this, sometimes they get a bit fragile.
Absolutely. It's amazing the amount of horsepower they're producing from the motorcycle engine, which is really the prevalent engine within this class. Here we see the leader negotiating traffic, and he just needs to be cool here today, and he's going to get another gold medal, I feel.
And he'll do that. If he does so, he will get 2 in one event. That's always something very special to do at SCCA's Runoffs. And right now, J.R. Osborne is on track. Welcome back to the 45th running of the Sports Car Club of America's National Championship Runoffs. Its 3rd year at Heartland Park, Topeka, and today C Sports Racing is underway to determine the national champion for 2008. And right now it is J.R. Osborne who has the field in hand, and rather comfortably at this point, throwing down some very strong laps, running through some traffic at this point, but with the speed he's got, he can work his way through and do so comfortably. Now Jean-Luc Liverato is working through that same group of traffic and went by the number 40 of John Metzger, and I think there was a little bit of rubbing as they scooted by there. Metzger looks like he may be having a problem with some upshifts, Cal.
Yeah, he was struggling for gears there coming off turn 7. So, you know, as you said, Greg, these engines are very severely stressed in this class. See pieces flying left, right, and center now. And look at the roll cage on that one behind him. That's really a Sports 2000 car, it looks like, which has been revamped for this class. And here we see Liverato making a hole that there really wasn't one there. Wiggling his way through, forcing the issue, but got through there cleanly, it looked like.
Well, this is the interesting thing, Cal. About 5 years ago, that car, the number 40 that we're watching, that's a Beasley, that was winning this class in the hands of the Beasleys and some of the other drivers that you know, had these cars, and you can just see how quickly technology has evolved.
Oh, it's just exploded within this class, and I'm not sure it's really popular with everyone in the paddock because those cars are quite expensive now. I mean, for the technology that's incorporated, I think it's great value, but still it's really taken it maybe out of the budget constraints that some people have.
And here you're looking at the 33 of Terry Johnson, currently running in the 10th spot out of Amarillo, Texas, and that's a Whitney Enterprises Swift DB2. And what you can do with that's an old Sports 2000 car, and what you do is you can drop an old Quad 4 engine in it, and that moves it up into C Sports Racing. But once again, it's a very different chassis, and right now not competitive in terms of of grip. And then here is the guy, as you said, sort of the godfather of the sports racing
he
category.
gets to the outside.
Oh, and look at Bill Goldkind taking advantage. That was a pass for position, and Bill Goldkind, boy, did he read that beautifully.
He really did. Jim sort of like looked to the outside, and John Metzger was really not seeing him in his mirrors. And then Bill Goldkind just sliced to the inside. So Jim Downing will try and respond. 45th year in racing. Incredible experience that Jim has. Raced for so many years in the Camel Lights category. Had a lot of success there. Just a true gentleman. And just great to see him still having the passion to be out here at the runoffs and giving it his all.
He created the Camel Lights category. That was his idea, and he was the one who sort of came up with it. And all that time, he has continued to support racing on the amateur level as well. He used to build race cars that he called kudzus, and maybe that's a sort of a parasitic vine, so I think maybe he decided to go more positive and go with the peach concept with his new car.
Well, based in the Atlanta area, of course, with those names on his cars, and he'll now try and chase down Goldkind, who had a great run there. So this battle will probably go out through the entire distance of this 18-lap event today.
That pass, as we said, puts Goldkind into fourth. Downing rounds out the top 5 behind the 3 stores. The 2008 C Sports Racing National Runoff is underway, and this was the start. And right off the bat, the gentleman who said I was going to be patient wasn't.
3 abreast, banging into each other before we even get to the first real corner.
J.R. Osborne not waiting too long. Chris Farrell could have defended, made it difficult, left the door open. Osborne said thank you, shot through, and has picked up the lead and has just opened that margin up. Meanwhile, a close call for Jean-Luc Liverato, Cal, in third.
Yeah, same corner, turn 7. 40 machine of John Metzger didn't see him coming through the inside, and now we see that battle resumed for the 4th position. Goldkind over Downing.
Well, you can see Downing at the exit of that quick 8-9 bus stop complex was able to close right up on Goldkind. Boy,
he keeps locking up
a lot. Ooh, look at the push. Huge
then
push.
He's grabbing gears there. Didn't have in the right gear when he made that little mistake. He's feeling the pressure from Jim Downing right now.
Oh, again, massive push. That thing just not turning, Cal.
2 60-plus-year-olds going at it hard here at Heartland Park, Topeka. Downing takes the position away. Can Goldkind respond here down the long front stretch? Has a little bit more speed in his car. He'll have the inside land. Can he keep it together through this far chicane?
Wow, that was a great piece of racing by both of them. After Goldkind had that problem in the last complex of corners and couldn't get it turned, looked like Downing was just going to blow by him. Not the case. Whoa, big moment for Jim. Saves it. Now, you notice that rotary design on the side of that car. That's another Jim Downing, I think, sort of trademark in a way, is that his car's always powered by Mazda rotaries.
Longtime supporter of the Mazda brand, and they've done the same with him. Here we see Goldkind. He keeps locking him. I think it's his rear brake, but look at that twitch there. Jim Downing carrying a lot of cornering load. You talked about the tunnels, Greg. When they do release, that's the sort of moment that the driver's going to encounter.
And it looks to me like either, as you said, Goldkind either has a problem with brake bias perhaps, or he's just driving it in a little too deep, really feeling the pressure from Downing.
Well, when you're looking in your side view mirrors, you just miss your braking point just that little bit. And these cars, I mean, the braking zones are relatively short, so if you miss it by a few feet, suddenly that is way too late. Oh, Goldkind doesn't look quick through that right-hander there. Jim Downing's going to make mental note of that and maybe take advantage of it on the next lap. Here we see he's just trying to get a good, clean exit here. Tucked to the inside. As we saw on the previous lap, Goldkind seemed to have a bit more speed. Will Jim tuck in, try and pull the draft here down the front straightaway? You got the little jog, little kink. That takes away the racing line.
I think for Goldkind, Cal, something he's got to be very concerned about is, as this race progresses, how long those front tires are going to last. There's a huge push that is developing in that car. And meanwhile, he's feeling immense pressure, Biz, from Jim Downing.
Well, Richard King is the crew chief for that beautiful 63 car. Jim Downing is all over the back of that other car. Are you worried about him wearing the tires out early in the race or anything like that?
No. We won't wear tires out. We picked good 35s for that, Hoosier 35s, and we'll do just fine.
Is he saying anything to you on the radio?
Not at all. He's just down and running. So
I'll tell you what, I've known Jim for the past 30 years. I don't know him to say anything during a race. It's 100% concentration.
Well, he's in a huge battle for fourth, and of course, should anything happen up front, that can be for a medal, and so you're going after it. And even so, you're at the runoffs, and if you're a racer, all you want to do is pass the guy in front of you. And once he got passed by Goldkind, that even spurs you on a little bit more. These guys duking it out big time here for the fourth. Oh, and the number, here we go. The number 8 of Jean-Luc Liverato is in the pits, and that makes that battle we were just talking about, as we said, now one for the medals and the podium. And Liverato pits it. Boy, another race that, like I said, he got 5th in DSR earlier in this event, was hoping for a podium here and a medal, and that has gone away, apparently, looking at the back of the car, Cal.
Well, they're looking towards the gearbox area, towards the engine, the power plant, so they'll take that bodywork off, but when you make a pit stop in this form of competition, you're certainly not going to be a medal contender at the end of the day.
Yeah, there you see the indication. That's the international sign for it broke. And Jean-Luc Liverato not happy at the moment. We'll be back with more from Heartland Park, Topeka. Ten laps complete, working lap 11 of 18 in our C Sports Racing National Championship runoff. And this has now become the battle for the bronze medal and a podium spot. Bill Goldkind continues to lead. Jim Downing is right there, and oftentimes down the front straight, there'll be a official lead change because one car will just nose ahead of the other one, but then it changes up. This is the best run Downing has had through the bus stop. He is alongside, and it's through this section where Jim has been significantly quicker than Bill. This may have been exactly what he needed to do, Cal.
Perfectly timed there, a great run through that very fast, high-speed chicane there on the backside of the racetrack, and as you said, he's been a little bit quicker through here, so hopefully he can gap Bill enough onto this front straightaway. But Bill comes back. He's very late on the brakes there for turn 14. He'll try and respond here and pull the draft down this front stretch.
Well, that time I didn't see in any of those corners, Cal, that push he'd been dealing with, so maybe he made an adjustment in the car, or maybe he just made an adjustment in his approach to the corners. Gets that draft. He closes right up now into one.
This is where Jim had a great run before. Seemed pretty equally matched through there. Saw Jim have a bit of a moment through the carousel, so his mid-corner speed seems to have dropped a little bit. He doesn't want that to be happening, so he's got to be careful here. But as you said, this is now for the bronze medal.
Meanwhile, quickly, let's get down to Justin Bell with the gentleman who drives that beautiful number 8.
Well, Jean-Luc, I mean, really unexpected to see you roll into the pits. What happened?
Basically, we've been trying different bits and pieces to lighten up the car. As everyone probably has realized by now, this is the fastest class in SCCA now, D Sport Racer, C Sport Racer store. And we're basically pushing the limits. And we now know that it's possible that one of those CV joints let go. And, you know, it's part of the development of the class.
A bit more development needed, I think, and more bits, less pieces. Okay, back to you, Greg.
Absolutely. That's part of the deal. You start to push the envelope like that, and that's where you learn where the weak links are and the problem areas are, and that's going to have to be worked on. Again, Goldkind lighten those brakes up, Cal, and he just now that he is behind Downing, he cannot stay with Downing at this point. Meanwhile, we go back to this battle for 8th, and there's the 33 that converted S2 Swift of Terry Johnson with Metzger, the number 40, that purple Beasley, still trying to hound him here and see what they can do to move it up. This is, again, the battle for 8th.
Well, the class is very unique that you can bring very different types of cars here to the runoffs and still compete. Now, these guys are certainly not going to be battling with the front guys with those high downforce sports racer specials, but nonetheless, they're giving it 100% here and having a great time battling for position.
And you can see without the ground effects there that the cornering speeds very, very different indeed, and the lines. You just can't get the car to just sort of hunker down and just nail it through the corner. You've got to be very specific in where you turn in to get it to track out right. Meanwhile, J.R. Osborne up front is just flying, folks, and he is continuing to open that margin up over Chris Farrell, but Jim Downing now in position to claim a bronze medal.
It may well be a case of better late than never for Terry Johnson, as Terry, to come to the runoffs has been on your to-do list for an awfully long time, hasn't it?
It has. I've been following the runoffs since the early 70s and wishing and hoping I could ever do that. We finally decided that this was the year, and so we spent the whole year getting prepared to come and run the runoffs.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is a one-off final appearance, so catch a good glimpse of the 33 car out there on track.
Yeah, that's great to see. He had a couple of wins on his way to a top 3 in points in the Rocky Mountain Division, and he's doing a nice job here. Great to see him here. Now he's got Bill Goldkind coming up behind him, and Bill is going to slip through and make that pass. Again, that is not for position, as Goldkind putting a lap on Terry Johnson. Classic example of the difference in the technologies.
Yeah, I mean, they're just dramatically different race cars, produce huge difference in downforce and the power and everything else. So it's really just a mixed bag here within this class. But, you know, the key is that he stayed out of the way, let those guys go on, because Goldkind is still looking after Jim Downey. He wants to try and chase him down for that final medal position today.
Meanwhile, our leader, J.R. Osborne, although he's got a big lead, Justin Bell, looks like he is starting to slow down a bit. Is that by design? Do you know?
Sadly not. You know, we just keep hearing this familiar theme that they are stretching these engines and these chassis to the max, and he's picked up a miss, and obviously a misfire. So obviously their only sort of tactic is to just try and nurse the car home, maybe, you know, short shift a little bit more, not rev so high, and just try and bring the car back to the end of the race. Not that many laps to go, but this is an unintentional slowdown. Greg?
Well, you can see the lap time comparison there. He has dropped way off the pace to the tune of about 6 seconds. Right now he's running laps about 4 seconds slower than Chris Farrell, who is 12 seconds behind. So when you do the maths, this is going to be very close if they remain at that pace with 4 laps to go.
Wouldn't that be do the sums?
Yes.
Boy, you can hear that little burble too, and that is a problem as he's coming up on Harvey Goldman. Now that's 5th. Harvey is running in the 5th spot.
And watch this. Normally we'd see J.R. Osborne just blow by this guy down the straightaway, and right now it's pretty evenly matched. When we get to the corner, J.R. needs to clear him and try and maintain his cornering speed, which he does right there. And he won't be lifting much for these chicanes now with the decrease in entry speed. He'll just be trying to maximize the cornering speed for the leader so he can maintain that gap, which is now down to under 10 seconds over Chris Farrell.
Yeah, Farrell's last lap a 27.9, Osborne's a 30.7. And so Farrell is definitely taking it off, and by that margin, that's 3 more laps. That's 3 seconds per lap. That 9 seconds could evaporate in a hurry. And meanwhile, you see the number 40 now of Metzger has been able to get around Terry Johnson and has picked up that 8th spot. So these two guys have found each other. This is one of the deals. You know you're not going to be running at the pace of these tunnel cars. So this is your race. This is your runoffs, and you just want to beat the competitors around you. And these two guys have been going back and forth all race long. Even though it may not be for a medal, they'll get out of the car with a big grin, as will J.R. Osborne if he can hang on. We are back at Heartland Park, Topeka. Less than 3 laps remaining in our C Sports Racing National Championship runoff. And there's the 56 of Chris Soliotis, that beautiful Speeds chassis, as he is currently running in the 7th spot. And the guy that he is trying to chase down, Chris driving the Sarpino Speeds, the guy just in front of him by a little bit is the number 28, the Southwest Funding Elan DPO2. And if that car looks familiar in shape, you may have seen it a few times if you've been to an American Le Mans Series race. That is the car that is the lead class car in what is called IMSA Lights.
Just 2 very unique chassis here. Pretty cool looking at that 56. Based that design around the dominant car in the American Le Mans Series with so many victories at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Of course, we're talking about the Audi R8. It's pretty much a replica.
It is. It's just a smaller scale. That was when it first came out, it was absolutely an eye-turner. Everybody looked at it and went, wow, is this cool? And you can see now that these cars have obviously strengths and relative to the different parts of the track. Certainly that IMSA Lights car, I think, has a little bit more motor in it, and that's part of the package, but that speed starts to close it up a little bit in the twisty stuff.
Really does, and Chris has done a tremendous job there. He's really got a great line going around this racetrack, maximizing the cornering potential of that chassis.
Chris certainly knows how to deal with these kind of cars and also with tunnel cars. He has done some Pro Atlantic racing. And he's putting in as good a drive as he can right now. Here's number 63 Downing continuing to run in third in a medal spot, and he has moved it up significantly in his margin now over Goldkind. I think he's been able to get through traffic just a little bit better. And one of the things with these tunnel cars, look at that, you can see the sparking that's going on, and it's just the closer you can run these cars to the ground, Cal, that really helps your ground effect, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, but I mean, I'm surprised. I think something must have come loose on the bodywork there. Maybe we're looking there at the splitter, just in front of the front fender well there, so maybe something's come loose and is just scraping, because this racetrack is not particularly bumpy.
Biz, have you heard anything down at pit lane?
Well, guys, it's actually the titanium scrub plates underneath the car. As you know, Jim Downing has to over-design everything that he races, and those are the scrub plates. They right now, at this point in the race, they feel that everything's okay.
All right, well, you know they've been paying close attention to that, looking on the pit wall as we now begin our final lap. There you see that sparking again, and the margin up front. Oh!
Spin there for Chris Soliotis. Was trying to put the pressure on, maybe lost a little bit of downforce, pinched the car a little bit maybe, turns it around.
Now the question is, can he get it started again? It's stalled, half on, half off. We're on the final lap, by the way. Osborne, last time through, had a 5-second lead over Chris Farrell, so looks like he might be okay. Sounds like that mist cleared up. That thing now sounds absolutely full song. Here he comes, J.R. Osborne does the double, DSR and CSR. What a great event, Cal.
It really was, and that engine did certainly clean up. He ran a 127 there on the last lap, so he found 3 or 4 seconds as he got full power once again.
Oh, look at this battle. It is heated up again. Metzger, but Terry Johnson all over the back of him. It's going to come down to the drag race. Metzger, a much tighter exit, but it looks like it worked. Now it's all down to just drag race, and it is going to be Metzger. Picks it up with an 8th place finish. After a great battle, race-long battle with Terry Johnson. Congratulations to John Metzger. But I'll tell you, that's satisfying. You know, obviously, they knew they weren't in it for the win, so they were just in it for fun and position, and they did a great job. But talk about great job. J.R. Osborne, I guess the conservation program was thrown out the window, but it still worked out for him here as Jim Downing comes through, and will pick up a bronze medal here at the Runoffs, a 4-time IMSA champion, just simply adding to the trophy case.
He really is, but it's his first medal here at the Runoffs, so that will certainly be very special to him. I spoke to him this weekend. He said, I think 4th is about the best we could hope for, so with the retirement of Liverado, that got him up on the podium.
And Chris Soliotis did get that beautiful Speeds chassis restarted, and will bring that around and should pick up. And we'll see exactly where he does come across the line here. But, and again, Bill Goldkind, 67 years old, and he brings it through and picks up a 4th place finish as Soliotis holds on to the 7th. Now go back to take a look at moment here. Watch this.
Well, he's just pushing hard. He wants to get that position here with just 1 lap to go, and he just carried too much mid-corner speed there. Tire grip wasn't there in the final stages of the race, and just turns it around. A harmless spin, but cost him any chance of grabbing that final position.
Don Yount looking in his mirror, seeing him go around like that, probably breathed a bit of a sigh of relief and said, whew, that's exactly what I needed. So Soliotis on his cool down lap. But again, what a great story up front. And I think one of the great, I mean, J.R. Osborne certainly one of the young guns in the world of sports car racing. Chris Farrell as well, but Downing and Goldkind, as you said, a couple of 60-year-olds. And that battle they put on for a while was fabulous.
It was fun, and that's the great thing about this class, about the Runoffs. There's battles throughout the field, and I'm sure they'll all have a cup of coffee and congratulate each other on a great day here at Topeka once again.
Let's check in with Justin.
Well, Doug Felch, JR's crew chief, you were extraordinarily nervous, but what a time for that misfire to clear up. 1 lap to go.
Yeah, we're real glad it cleared up. Don't really know what's wrong. We'll have to take things apart and look at them when we get back, but we're real happy we were able to make it to the end and finish the job.
I mean, he did an extraordinary race, and thank goodness he was out that front and he wasn't playing sportsman and, you know, did kind of was a bit more gamemanship and didn't have such a lead. He needed every second of that.
Yes, he did. You know, he's not one to hold back, so he gets out front and he does what he has to do, and we needed all of it today.
Well, congratulations, Greg, Cal.
Yeah, just a great performance by J.R. Osborne and that team. Chris Farrell gets a medal after a 4th in D Sports Racing, and Jim Downing gets his 1st ever Runoffs medal. Very special event here in C Sports Racing. We'll be back to visit with some of these major players in just a minute. C Sports Racing, what a great race. 18 laps of national championship runoff competition, and we have ourselves our medalists. Here's a look at the top 5 again. Bill Goldkind and Jim Downing, that great battle for 3rd. Harvey Goldman, a good run up into 5th. But our double medalist is with Justin Bell.
JR, I bet you didn't plan on using your mirrors quite so much in the last few laps.
No, sir. You know, we had the performance, but you can never take anything for granted in motorsports. Was running along just trying to save everything and developed a miss. I went to a false neutral and hit the rev limiter, and I thought maybe I might have damaged the head or something. And because about the 2nd lap after that, it started running on 3 cylinders intermittently, and so
that was it.
Yeah, I was just like, is this going to finish or not?
Well, you know, at the start, just before the start, you said, I'm going to be a little bit more conservative. Did you forget that part when the green flag went?
Yeah, for exactly the reason it just happened. You know, you've got to use your machine not all the way up, but get that gap so if you do have a problem, you have some cushion. And
but tell me, more importantly, did the dog bring you good luck?
Yes. My dog always brings me a good lap.
Okay, congratulations. Over to Biz with 2nd place.
Well, Chris, I know you're looking for the gold, but congratulations on the silver. Hey, buddy, you were kind of rubbing up there during the start. What's that about?
Yeah, I don't know. We started, and Jean-Luc was right next to me, and I think JR came along the outside of Jean-Luc, and we all kind of tried to occupy about the same space, and felt a little nudge here and there, and I guess Jean-Luc kind of backed out, and JR dove in behind me.
Okay, so what about losing the lead, too? That had to be a heartbreaker.
Well, you know, JR's been awful fast all weekend, and you know, it was a matter of trying to hold him back, but you know, JR and I are good buddies, and we drive each other clean, and you know, I give him room, he gives me room, and you know, he was faster today, so he won.
Okay, but did you know he had a misfire there at the end? You must have seen that you were getting closer to him.
Well, yeah, my radio guy, Wayne, was telling me that I was closing up, and he had a misfire, so I pinned my ears back a little bit and let the red mist come down, and was pulling him in, but unfortunately it either cleared up or I just didn't have quite enough laps left.
Well, again, congratulations on a great silver medal. Back to the booth, you guys.
Well, I like that. I pinned my ears back and took a run at him here, and he certainly did. He closed up about a 15-second margin down to 5 at the end as we watch JR. This is a very special moment for anybody who makes it to the runoffs. When they hand you that checkered flag and say, it's yours, go out on that victory lap, you have done something, Cal, very, very special.
You have, and he's done it 3 times now. 2 gold medals here this weekend in D Sports Racer as well as the race today. And, of course, he was the defending champion in the D Sports Racer class from last year. So 3 gold medals, and when this car heads to Road America, there's a lot of high-speed corners there for next year's event as well.
Well, thousands of drivers run, as we talked about, all season long in these different divisions, and you come here, over 500 entries, and only 25 walk away as a national champion, and he has 2 of them here. That's pretty special. Here are the results, unofficially now, the full field. We talked about those top 5 previously, but Don Yount in that IMSA Lights machine, a great run. Chris Soliotis, boy, was he trying hard to the point he spun it on the last lap. That battle with Metzger and Johnson went right down to the last lap, and for Jean-Luc Liverato, a potential medal gone away, and then a couple of guys here with problems, and certainly that problem early for James Smith had to be very frustrating. Let's get down, though, to Justin Bell with a guy, great to see him with a medal coming at his way. Justin?
Completely great. Jim, that's one for the old boys, really, isn't it?
It is. It is. It's actually one of my best. Maybe it's my best finish in the runoffs. And at my age, it's great to be here. Had a wonderful time and great race with Bill there in the mid part of the race.
Well, your car caused some discussion in the booth. I think titanium skid plates might have been putting on a bit of a show from the back.
We did have titanium skid plates. Thank you for noticing that. I was a little nervous. Some of the corner workers might think I was on fire, but I wasn't. Usually I spit out my Mazda sparks out the exhaust pipe over here because we get it too rich. But we were just about perfect this time. We did all we could do.
Well, you are known for kind of putting a lot of engineering into your cars, so you haven't slowed down in any way.
Well, thank you. We'll set that aside.
Congratulations, Jim. Great bronze medal. Biz?
Well, Billy Gold King, I mean, you may have had the best race out there, wheel to wheel with Downing. That had to be fun.
He's quite a guy. I hope I can be like him when I grow up. That's all I'm hoping for. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. The both cars were well. We both gave each other a lot of room, and it sure was a great time.
You can run wheel to wheel with him, can't you? I mean, the two of you know what you're going to do before.
I trust the man. He's not going to do anything foolish. And when you know you're on the track with somebody like that, it's not a problem.
You know, the car looked like it had a bit of a push up front there. Holy cow!
Yeah, holy cow is right. We had the wheel full lock, and it just wasn't happening. But hey, we'll get it better next year.
Okay, buddy. Congratulations on a 4th place. No medal, but I'll tell you, you have a huge smile on your face.
Thank you so much. It was great. Thank you.
What a great story. When I came here a couple of years ago, I noticed on the back of his helmet he had written 1 titanium elbow, 2 new hips, and we got into a big discussion about hips, I'll tell you. And he was a real inspiration for me and told me that it is something very special indeed. And I'll tell you, if anybody is ever young, it's this guy. What a great story.
It is a great story. So Jim Downing had titanium on his race car, Bill had it in his body, so good stuff.
Absolutely, and what an exciting race from that very start to the problems that developed for JR and Chris Farrell being able to run him down. An awesome battle for the bronze. Stories throughout, and that's what SCCA National Championship Racing is all about. C Sports Racing has come to a conclusion in this 2008 season, and what a show it was. For Calvin, for Biz, for Justin Bell, I'm Greg Kramer. It's been a treat to bring it to you. A lot more coverage on speed of the 2008 runoffs. And for our medalists, Jim Downing, Chris Farrell, and our double gold winner, J.R. Osborne, nicely done.